Hi guys, amazing to see you here, and I hope you're having a great, inspiring, educational day at G to Z. Really excited to be presenting something that I'm really excited and passionate about. As somebody who does a lot of work with shelters and welfare organizations on building the resilience of their teams and leaders, one of the things that is just this constant overwhelm for people at the moment is just busyness. And it's become almost a global phenomenon, at least in the Western world, of this rapidly escalating, impossible list of things to do. And we are expected to just fit more in and do more. And nobody feels like they've got any time for themselves or to rest. Or when you do have time to rest, you're so focused on the fact that it's your only time to rest that you're kind of worried that you're not resting productively enough. And it's kind of this cycle of being borderline addicted to being busy, and whether it's all about running around, at work, and you've got these impossible set of expectations at work, whether you're a leader, whether you're on the ground, whether you're in the office, we just always have people needing more from us than we feel like we have hours in the day. And then we go home and we've got dinner to cook and meals to prep and dentist appointments to book and cars that need servicing and bills that need paying. And then you're expected to do all of this well-being stuff, fit in a hobby and do some yoga and eat well and socialize with your friends. How? How do we fit all of that into a world that is just increasingly hectic and increasingly busy? So, this is a very quick introduction to that topic. Obviously, it is bigger than 20 minutes allows, but these are my really top condensed tips to helping you take back control of what is becoming a little bit of a contagious issue in our society, and especially in an organization like ours, where you just want so badly to do a good job. Very, very quickly, because you're not here to hear who I am. Some of you already know me. I'm a vet. I've run quite a few shelters around the place over the last couple of decades in New Zealand, Australia, Southeast Asia, the Pacific. Have been the manager for welfare at Taronga Zoo. Am a very busy solo mum to this little critter up here and to this old man here. And now I run Unleashed Coaching and Consulting, which effectively is all about keeping animal people in the animal profession. So working with leaders and teams, really to keep leaders and teams in our profession. So that's all you need to know about me. Big question. First of all, are we actually more busy than we've ever been before? The research on this is mixed, and for the most part, they actually suggest that perhaps we're not. The exception being, this would come as not a surprise to a certain demographic, is mums. Mums with the societal shift towards heavily intensive parenting and these expectations that now we're also got these grand careers and we're fully embracing the workforce, but we've only reduced our workload at home by something like 15%, whereas dads are still about the same contribution to the workforce and have increased their contribution at home by about 15%. So the other 70% is still us. So there is a big challenge there of how do we make all of that work? How do we genuinely fit this in? But we also have this increasing kind of expectation because of social media, because of society, because we can see all of these other cool things now that other organizations are doing and we want to do too, that we want to do it all. And so then we take on this new project or take on this new thing or create a new target, and we don't drop one, we just do more. So what are we going to do about it is the really big question. All right. Oh, actually, first, I want to talk about whether this is bad for us. Really, one of my favorite studies of all time is about stress and whether or not stress has lasting impacts on our health. So they've done these studies about the morbidity and mortality rate of people who self-report themselves as highly stressed or not very stressed on a scale. And it turns out there is a proportion of the population who are high, there's a strong correlation between stress level, self-reported, and whether or not they get sick or die early. There is a vast proportion of the population where actually the evidence suggests that there's not, right? And do you want to know the difference between these two cohorts of people? It's how they answer the question, do you believe that stress is bad for your health? In other words, people who don't believe that stress is bad for them and kind of embrace it as one of those, it's just how we go. I enjoy feeling like this. I work at my best when I'm at peak performance. I don't want to be bored. Those people don't seem to have ill effects of stress. All right. Whereas people who feel like they're either working out here a lot or their approach to feeling up here is kind of like, I can't do this for long. Those people do have a strong correlation between morbidity, mortality, and stress levels. So that is worth noting, because actually there are people out there who don't mind this state of being, who enjoy this state of being. And if you are one of those people, as long as you just check in with yourself every now and then to make sure that you're doing it because it makes you feel good and not because you're avoiding sitting in your uncomfortable feelings, if you stop and slow down for a little while, then go for gold. But the rest of us normal people who are going, what is happening? How do I stop this treadmill? Here's the top tips that I've got for you. Okay. What are we going to do about it? 5 different key areas. Shift our mindset, shift our expectations, stop wasting the time on the unimportant stuff, stop spreading the contagion of this epidemic, and have a look at our priorities. Now, they all sound a little condescending, so please don't think that I'm here to tell you how to change your priorities or what should be important to you, all right? This is a take it or leave it. Some of these things will apply to you and feel like they resonate really heavily. Some of them won't, and that is totally fine. If you get one great tip out of these, I feel like I've done a great job. So, number 1, the mindset shift. Opt out of this societal norm that seems to say that being busy makes you more important. In the old days, okay, it used to be a mark of being a peasant if you were busy. Court life and people who were really important weren't busy. They had people to do their busyness for. It was a mark of dignity that you had a slow pace because you didn't have to do that much. You had a lot of leisure time on your hands. And that was how they measured success. People that ran around being busy all the time kind of assume that you're beneath, all right? Somehow we had an industrial revolution, we had capitalism take over the world, we had this kind of like hustle society create, and now what we've got is this belief that's gone the exact opposite way, that the busier you are, the more important you must be. That if you don't have a side hustle going on and you don't have all of this and you're not on these committees and contributing over here and volunteering and whatever, then you can't be that important, right? You just, if you just stay at home and enjoy your job or enjoy being a family person or whatever, and that's what you do, then you're kind of now considered less than. So we've gone full flip the other way. And I want to be really, really clear that neither of those are wrong, all right? Clearly, probably none of us are noblemen. But what we can do is break free of assuming that everybody cares about our busyness, that anybody's looking in on how busy we are, that anybody is measuring the yardstick of our value in life based on whether we're running around like a headless chicken or not, right? So what we want to really do is start thinking about, what things am I doing because they're actually essential, and what things am I doing because I'm trying to prove that I am needed and that I am valuable? And that means in the workplace, right? It is okay to say, no, I don't want to take on that project. It's a sexy project and I'd love to be a part, but I don't need to. Or the flip side, who's out there making primo amazing book week costumes for their kids that don't even care and defeats the entire purpose of your kid being creative? And it's not as fun because society expects you to. Who feels like if they pay a bill late, they're failing at life? All right, what we really want to do is start to reevaluate the assumption that the more busy you are, the higher your value, okay? Because when we ask people, how are you going? And they're like, busy, it feels almost lazy to be like, oh, I'm quite chill at the moment. Life's good. And what we want to do is try to shift back a little bit more to the old days where we can go, oh, actually, I've got lots of leisure time at the moment. I'm really great. That makes me feel valuable and important and like I'm living a good life. So it's about that mindset shift. Okay, what makes you important is not how much you get done or how visible it is. Because let's face it, nobody notices anyway. Step 2. I'm rushing through these because, of course, I don't want to run out of time because I'm, as you can probably tell, very good at talking too much. The second one is give up on the idea that you can get an impossible to-do list done. It is called an impossible to-do list because it is impossible. All right. It's right there in the words. You can't get all of this stuff done. It is not realistic. If you have got 50 things on your list to get done today, you're not going to. It is as simple as that. And the quicker we come to terms with there will be things left over, the quicker you feel a lot less overwhelmed by it all. In a shelter setting, one of the most famous, the line I use all the time is, I know that we want to help more animals. I know that we want to spay one more cat, but there's 40 cats waiting to be spayed. Doing one more today, so there's 39 tomorrow, doesn't actually make a meaningful impact. So why do it? Why not just support our well-being and make our approach sustainable? So pick 2 things that really matter to you to get done today. And if at the end of today you've done those 2 things, anything else is a bonus, right? Which 2 things at the beginning of every day and maybe at the beginning of every week as well, and at the beginning of every year as well? What are the 2 things that if you get to the end of that day or week or year and you haven't achieved them, you're going to be disappointed with yourself? Pick them. Strategically decide what you are willing to drop, because then it's not a failure. It's just carrying out your strategy, right? You cannot do everything. Come to terms with that and make sure you're choosing which things are actually important. Step 3, okay? I don't want to sound preachy on this, but it is so true. Hands up if you are sitting at home and you're also checking your phone whilst you've been sitting through this, and you're also doing that, and you're also scrolling Facebook, and you're also just quickly asking ChatGPT a question about a thing you heard. We are shockingly tied and chained to our phones right now. Okay, we are obsessed. Some people, I know I've gotten to that point before in my life where I can't wait in a line. I can't sit through an ad break on Netflix, which is 30 seconds long, without checking my phone. It's like a tick that I have, right? It's the same as when we get home and we sit down in front of the TV because our brain needs to turn off and we feel like, oh, okay, this feels like off time. But it's not really off time because you're not adding value to your life. And I'm not saying that every minute of your life has to add value, but you're not strategically choosing how you're going to use that time. You're just kind of going on default. And that's what our phones do to us. And that's what the TV does to us. I am by no means a screen-free person. I am just as addicted as the rest of us. But I do really like this approach that is about, every time you look at the TV or pick up your phone, you want to ask yourself the 3 W's, right? www, which is a little bit ironic for the internet. What for? Why am I looking? Okay, if I'm looking to look something up that's meaningful, obviously do it. If I'm looking to look something up just because I had a thought and it's kind of ruining the conversation that we were all debating about this thing, and it's detracting from the fact that actually the joy is in debating the thing and nobody knowing the answer. But also, most importantly, noticing if the what for is because you're uncomfortable sitting, or maybe you're anxious, or maybe you're feeling socially awkward, or maybe you're just can't deal with eye contact with people in a line. Try to work out what it is that's making you sit and spend that time on unproductive stuff. Why now? Again, is it just the twitch? The invisible, I can't help myself from picking it up. Is it because you're feeling uncomfortable? What is going on in your head? And what else? What else could I be doing with this time? If I'm sitting scrolling Instagram, looking at cute videos of cats for half an hour, that's cool. It is good downtime for your brain sometimes. But what actually could be being done with that half an hour instead that might give you a better long-term sustainable boost to your well-being? All right. I'm not perfect at this. It's harder than it sounds. But just being able to ask yourself those three questions and get more aware of what's going on in your brain and when you're really susceptible can help. Next, stop the contagion. All right. This is about the spiral of when somebody's like, oh, how's your day today? Oh, I'm very busy, thanks. And oh, well, I'm busier because, it's like trying to one up each other. Oh, well, my kid was up last night vomiting, so I'm feeling more tired. Or, oh, no, I'm more tired because I've got this project due. And oh, I'm more tired because I'm jet lagged as well. It's this sort of one-upmanship of how busy are we? Comes back to that busy equals important, but also it's about a cultural thing. I've done workshops at animal shelters before where I've asked, who here leaves on time? And one person's put up their hand and everybody's turned around and gone, oh, slacker. That is the culture that we create that says if you can leave on time, you are doing something wrong. And we do that to each other. So not just for yourself, because your brain actually picks up on that, every time you say you're busy, your brain gets more and more sunk into that, but also for everybody else around us. We want to try to break the cycle. So firstly, next time somebody says to you, hey, how are you going today? Don't respond about your busyness. Do you have to talk about it? Choose a different conversation if you can. If you cannot choose a different conversation and busyness is the appropriate chat right now, busy and what is it that your busyness has contributed to the world? What is it that makes you feel good about your busyness? I'm busy and I saved a life this morning, and so we're still catching up from it, but that cat's going to be all right. Or I'm busy, but I really know that customer appreciated me going over and above. Or I'm busy, but you should have seen my kid's face when she saw that I was at assembly this morning, so I don't mind catching up all day. What have you contributed to the world with your busyness, right? To stop that cycle of it feeling overwhelming. And if you can't do that, if you can't come up with why was it worth it, now you need to say busy but what are you doing about it? I am busy, but I've got a lunch break coming up. I am busy, but I've got dinner out with my friends tonight that I'm really looking forward to letting loose. Busy, but I've got a week off work next week. Or busy, but I've talked to my manager and I'm going to need a personal health day to get some toil back. Stop the spiral. Take responsibility for your words and for what you are contributing to the people around you. And last but not least, decide what's actually important in your life. Both today, remember I said, pick two things that you'll be disappointed at the beginning of the day that you didn't get to do by the end of it, and then everything else is a bonus. I would really encourage you to decide that about your life too. Might be two things, might be four, but I really want you, this is a great thing, how many weeks we have on average in our lives, and you can fill them in as you go, and it starts to get really depressing. If you feel like you are spending so much of your time chasing your tail in a spiral of overwhelm, you start to notice how quickly these weeks ticks by. Now, on average, there's 4,000 weeks for most of us over the course of our lives. There's an excellent book of the same name, 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. So if this sort of stuff interests you and you are stuck in this cycle of overwhelm and you want to know how do we get out of it and how do we shift our mindset and create something different that doesn't fit into the societal quagmire of overwhelming busyness, I highly recommend that book. I think I got that within 20 minutes. Go me. If you want a copy of this presentation, if you want any of the kind of links or any more details on it, then I'm very happy to send it. Just scan the QR code. Otherwise, I look forward to hearing your questions shortly.